Oh, hello, friends. Um, I'm not going to edit this. I am not even going to put a flash screen intro into this. I am mentally drained. I have actually watched and listened to and tried to absorb as much as I could the entire ramblings of Trump, the God Emperor of Earth, well, of America, totally. Um, Lord have mercy on my soul. I think I've gotten dumber. I've literally, I think my IQ has drained. I'm gonna have to go sleep a couple, at least good night's sleep to try to get some of those IQ points back. It's like watching a big black void of just sucking everything out of my head and making me as dumb as that rambling. It's like watching that old grandpa, uncle, great uncle guy that rambles on about starts telling you sea shanties and Baron Monheiser, and his great adventures and. And by the way, I did everything, and it's all because of me, and everything's great because of me, because I am me, I am me. I did everything, we did everything, I did everything, but we did everything because you're part of me, because I am the greater me. Me. Lord have mercy. That was that was painful. And then the prep speech from Hegsworth. I mean, seriously, just think about how much for the Americans sitting here. I mean, Russians at this point are laughing their asses off. Trust me, so is most of the world. But for the Americans here who are getting their gigantic tariff bills, yeah, that's right. You get to pay for the tariffs one way or the other, or just watch the stores get it out of you by upping prices there. The ones that are barely paying for food because your prices are skyrocketing because officially there's no inflation or something like that, which the U.S. has always historically lied about since Nixon. But think how much money was spent to fly all those generals and their staff, because they don't normally just fly all by themselves and they're four-star, um, from all over the world to DC, put them up in hotels. And believe me, they're not staying in at the Red Light Inn. They're staying in good hotels. These are the elites of the American military establishment. You ain't giving them a 3.5 stars or even a 4 star. They want the 5 star treatment, baby. They deserve it. Bring all those people in, sit them down, and televise that embarrassment. I mean, I was embarrassed for the U.S. Christ, I served in that military, for God's sakes. Yeah, I have a low opinion, as most officers, mid-rank officers have, of American generals. Like I said, I've flat out say I've only known two 1 star generals, and one of them was actually a colonel when I served under him, that are worth my respect as generals. Everybody else that I've ever seen from the American side, were just political whores and very inept. Because and somebody said on the Russian side, "Hey, why are all the most intelligent American officers colonels?" And that was on a show I was on. I said quite simply, because they never get past colonel. Because the people that make generals are the ass kissers, the politicians. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you whatever the hell they want them to hear. So this whole room of them is just sitting there. Of course, they're sitting quietly. If any of them had any honor, they'd probably resign in mass. But thankfully, honor is not something they're ever chosen for, and haven't been for the last 30 years, if not longer. I mean, this was painful. My God. Because the U.S. has won every war, World War One, every World War Two, every war in between, every war before, has the greatest empire, or sorry, military, but that's not an empire, since all of human history. Yeah, okay. We won't remember Iraq, Afghanistan, problems in Syria, Vietnam, Korea, but you did get Grenada and Panama. We do remember that. Iraq, but of course it wasn't by itself. I love when Trump goes in there. Oh, Russia's a paper target, tiger, because a real military could take Ukraine in a week. Yeah, the U.S. military took Iraq in 22 days of combat, with half the Iraqi army not leaving their barracks because the generals had been bribed and the senior officers were bribed by the CIA for they were running around there for several months beforehand. And on top of that, most of that military was under-equipped, under-trained, or not trained at all. It still took 22 days. So what is that? And then the U.S. the present day U.S. military is not even a shadow of what it was in 2003, which itself was a shadow of what it was in 1991. And so, by the way, was Iraq a shadow of what it was in 1991? And then there wasn't all that much. Of course, the U.S. fought not by itself, but with the U.K., with Poland, and lots of other countries, even in 2003. So watching this is just friggin' painful. The only things I could agree on with Hagseth was that the U.S. military is getting back to standards. Now, when I served in the U.S. military, we didn't have obesity. The occasional rare fat guy had, he wasn't going to be an officer, senior NCO because that was a career killer. He was going to have, he was either a buck sergeant or enlisted man, and he had somebody senior riding him hard to drop that weight. Even the occasional reservists that came in, sometimes you saw them pudgy, but and when they came on active duty, they got the full active duty treatment. That would be the only thing I could agree with of what was said. I mean, really, Hagseth was like a high school cheer group over there. It's a pep rally. That's the word I was looking for. It's like a high school pep rally. Yes, we are. Yeah, we're gonna be the best. Yeah, we're gonna be the best. Oh, and by the way, if you're not ready to go butcher everybody around you, then you don't deserve any peace. Says the hegemon imperial power that has had no friggin' peace in the last 30 years, period. So everybody that's 34 years or younger has never had a single day of peace if they're an American citizen. It has about 12, 13 years of peace in its entire history. As Trump said, I'm very proud of the U.S. cavalry that settled the West by genociding the indigenous population. Massacres left and right. Did I go where I wasn't supposed to go? Whoops, I'm sorry. That was the part that doesn't get mentioned in U.S. history classes and other things like that. Oh, God, like I said, that was mentally challenging, to put it mildly. It's rare when you're watching YouTube, and the commercial comes on, and you go, "Thank God, the commercial came on." Oh, just thank God. At least for the next 30, 40 seconds, my brain can process the crap that just got filled into it and maybe flush some of it. Oh my God! After this, I gotta make a video like this in Russian because I was getting. I had one news service. I mean, I answered a bunch of these for a bunch of different news services when this first got declared. What does it mean? How the hell do I know what this means? Nobody's done this yet, something like that. And I had a bad feeling this is just going to be a cheerleader. It's a caught audience that can't open its mouth, and they're going to listen to Trump rambling pointlessly on for an hour. In the UN, they can just stand up and walk the hell out, especially if they get tired enough and just pass out on a table. Probably maybe even commit suicide just to save their minds and souls from the corruption of the Rambler, the great Rambler. But the U.S. military officers, the general officers, they don't get that kind of choice. I guess they could commit suicide just as a harikari traditional protest. But since they're mostly political whores, they're not going to do that either. They'll just suffer through. What if anyone fell asleep? That was low energy on top of that. My God, that was low energy. If he was a comedian, the fact that he came into a silent room and he walked out basically a silent room, that should have said it all right there. Your material is dry. My God, it's dry. It's drier than Western dry wines. I don't like dry wines. See, that's rambling. Because the wines that we make over blah, blah, and we're the best winemakers in the world because, I made the wineries and I told them how to make wine. And that's because we're the greatest wine power and military in the world because, we can just bomb. We bombed that boat that, that had tons of cocaine, fentanyl on there. And they were going to drive it 10,000 kilometers over to America, miles over America and drop it off because wine, because we made the wine. We made them wine. They were whining. They're still whining because, it comes in bottles. They're whining and it's on that level. I'm giving them ideas for the next speech up at this point. Like I said, I am sarcastic. I can be a smart ass, but right now I just feel dumb. I've just been dumbed down. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go take a shower. Or maybe put my head under a pillow and try not to breathe for a while. I've got to flush this hour of. That was painful. I'm sorry, that was painful. Say what you wish. Criticize me if you want. If you haven't watched it, God damn it. If you haven't watched it, don't even think to criticize what I'm saying. You sit down, you sit your rear end down, and you watch or at least listen to that hour. God bless it. And God bless your soul if you make it and you're still have the exact same IQ and you haven't been degraded. That was that. That's my new internet challenge. That's my new internet challenge. Listen all the way through that speech, and then listen to Hacks afterwards. But listen all the way through that speech. God bless.